anyway. Show up anyway. Win anyway. Be here for yourself. Show up for yourself anyway. Just decide to play the game. Put yourself back on the playing field. Yes, life is really freaking hard sometimes. It seems endless, right? It seems cruel, incredibly cruel sometimes. But you know what? We got to be positive anyways. We got to show up for ourselves, for our kids, for our family, for our friends, for everybody else who's also struggling through this life at this time, right? My gosh. Hi, I'm Christine. I'm your emotion coach, and today we're talking about winning anyway, showing up for yourself anyway. What are you struggling with right now? What is so hard in your life? And you know what? I just got called out. I'm typically a pretty positive person, and I'm very aware of law of attraction. What you put out is what you get back, right? I love to psychoanalyze myself. I love to journal. And during my journaling, I definitely give myself free rein. I write it as it is, right? Versus when you listen to Abraham Hicks, when you listen to Neville Goddard, some other law of attraction teachers, they're like, why are you reinforcing this? Just get to the positive. But I mean, if you're going to say the positive, but you're still thinking and feeling the negative, it's not beneficial, right? So we do want to get it out, but I love how Abraham goes 17 seconds. You get 17 seconds to whine and moan and complain, and then you want to switch to the other side pretty quickly, right? I don't always get it done in 17 seconds, but I am aware that whatever I'm saying, I negatively attract. But it is very interesting. I did just get called out while I was on a phone call, a Zoom call with a German new medicine practitioner, and I was telling her all these things that I'm experiencing, and she's just like, you're living in the past. This is no longer our story. So what kind of story are you telling? What are you reinforcing, right? That's the biggest thing. Now, I was never one to kind of dwell in my hardship or my sorrow. Everybody has different ways of processing. I would say my most recent hard time that I went through was when I moved to LA and had no friends, and the relationship I moved there for fell apart really quickly in the most awful way of the guy just completely emotionally and physically abandoning me, which was really, really hard for me. And yet at the same time, he couldn't give me a definite answer if the relationship was over or not. So I was kind of hanging in there, hoping, but at the same time, just like feeling incredibly rejected and abandoned by him. And I was in a strange new world, right? I had never been to LA. I'd never been to California. I didn't know anything about what to do there with whom. I'm an introvert. I had to find my own rhythm, right? But it was incredibly beneficial. We've talked about this before, about having your routine, getting back into your routine. The gym helped me tremendously, right? Can you just have a small goal today? If you're stuck in a rut, if you're going through something challenging, if you're going through something that you're really struggling with that's really hard for you, can you pick one positive habit and stick with that, right? Preferably in the morning because it sets you up for the day. And my habit was I would get up, I would get myself to the gym. I would actually read a book or listen to a book while I was on the Stairmaster, right? So I got the mind thing and the physical thing. Then I would lift some weights to really get that physical energy pumping, right? It was so healing. And then, of course, I paired it with a walk on the beach afterwards, which was amazing. If you can get out into nature in any way, that certainly helps. But the biggest thing is show up for yourself anyway. Decide that today might just be the day that's going to change everything. And if you're going to play the what if game, right? We're very good at that, especially as highly sensitive. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I'm going to feel even more awful? What if I get into something I can't handle emotionally, right? What if in the worst case scenarios? How about we start playing the what if game in the best, absolutely best possible way? What if I get everything that I've ever wanted? What if this guy starts to talk to me exactly the way that I receive it the best? What if I am unbelievably loved and cherished from this moment on? What if my body completely heals itself? What if I find exactly the right things to eat? What if that dream job lands on my doorstep tomorrow? What if? We're going to play the what if game. Let's play it into the absolute best possible version that we can find. What if? Let's dream again, no matter where you are stuck. Yes, life sucks sometimes. Sometimes it seems like 75%, 85%, 95% of life sucks, of your day sucks. Hopefully that's just a season and we can turn that around, especially with some goal setting, right? With some goal setting, especially with some brainstorming of like, what is it that you're really reaching for? What is it that you're really after right now? What is it that you're really desiring? And how can you create more of that in your life right now? And this is why we're doing the bliss list. This is why we're having a bucket list. This is why we are looking at your schedule if you're one of my coaching clients, or even if you're just sticking around and getting those little tidbits from me. We're looking at your schedule, and every single day we're planning in fun. We're planning in playfulness. We're planning in moments of deep connection with the truth of who you really are. That is the best thing to do when you feel like life is unbelievably hard right now. It just means you're not connected. You're not connected to all of who you are. You don't have the resources that you will have available. The instant that you decide to shift your state, to shift your mood, to shift your attitude, to shift into connection, into tuning in. Wow, so powerful. And it's okay to take a look at where you are. When you know where you are, you know where you want to go. When you know where you are, you know exactly what you don't want. What is the opposite of that? What is it that you do want? And then can we lift that gaze from where you are to where it is that you really want to go? And what would it feel like? What will it feel like once you are there? A quote that really stuck today, because, this is all based on Brendan Burchard's Daily Fire in his GrowthDay app. If you haven't gotten the app, use the link below and go get it. It's been really good for me. I think this is week 3 that I'm starting. I've been really consistent with it. I have been going to this app every day to journal a little bit, listen to Brendan, and then do this live to bring it together, particularly for highly sensitive. What does that topic mean to me, right? And he titled it, I forget, something like life when it's hard, like when life is hard, right? But really his takeaway message was win anyway. And he is such a great motivational speaker. Even just the last 5 minutes were amazing. He had this one quote in there, and he goes, you can still take action through awful. And that was a really good one for me. I was like, yeah, you can take action through awful. So even if you're going through something really awful today, this week, this month, this year, you can take action through awful. And know that every time you do decide to take action, particularly when it's hard, you are moving forward. You're catapulting yourself forward into what you do want. The most important is, let's not look back. Let's see where I am right now But then also let's look ahead, right? Because nothing from the past, absolutely nothing from the past, has to influence where we can go in the future. All your power is in your now. Now is the point of attraction. Now is when you get to decide what you're focused on, what you're thinking about, what you believe in, what you're going to take action on, which phone call you're going to make, who you're going to talk to, how you're going to feel about yourself and your life. Your point of power is now. It's now. It's always right now. So yeah, what if today everything changes? What if by taking that one action, everything changes? What if an incredible life is waiting for you? So get up, let's lift our head up high, and let's go for it, especially if life is hard, because it is going to be magnificent. Have an amazing day, and I will see you tomorrow.